Because we're already recording, you guys. You know that, right?
Oh, I always forget. Yes, now I am.
All right.
Gonna start over?
Might as well.
Okay, call the meeting to order.
Okay, Brian Treppa,
Here.
Bonnie McInerney Slater, here. Harold Bain,
Here.
Dennis Szymanski,
Here.
Joanne Shirkey, still not on, and Deborah Addy.
Here.
We have
All right,
5 members.
Thank you. I'd like to approve or amend to the agenda tonight.
Motion to approve the agenda is presented.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Approval of the minutes from the meeting
Let's see,
on October 21st, 2020.
Motion
I'll
to
make the
approve.
motion that we approve the minutes of October 21st, 2020.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of October 21st meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved. All right, the zoning board preface. The Clay Township Zoning Board of Appeals, or ZBA, primarily addresses practical difficulty based on lot size, location, shape, or contour, and/or location of existing buildings. We are guided by section 27.05 of ordinance number 126. There are 5 members on the ZBA, all of whom are present tonight. At least 3 members must vote affirmatively for a motion to grant a variance. 3 members constitute a quorum. Each appeal before the ZBA will have a public hearing at which time the applicant will first present his or her case and a public comment regarding this issue will follow. During this time, members of the board may ask questions of clarification. If a particular point gets belabored, the chairperson has the right to limit comments. When the public hearing is closed, the board will move on to the deliberation of the particular variance request. If the applicant should disagree with the board's decision, he or she has the right to take it to circuit court within 30 days of the decision. When your appeal hearing is concluded, you are welcome to leave or stay as you wish. Okay, so we have new business, open up new business. We have the first appeal, JZBA 2020-014, property owner at 7544 Colony Drive. Are they present?
We're here.
Yes.
Bill and Terry.
Okay, so please state your name and address again, please.
William Kroll, 7544 Colony Drive, and my wife Terry Kroll.
Okay, and the state, I guess, what your applicant for.
Sure. So the proposal that we had, we've got very limited storage. Unfortunately, this home that we've just purchased 6 months ago has a very small garage. We don't really have any room to keep lawn equipment and toys. We talked to the neighbors here, the extraordinarily nice neighbors. All of them, we've been very pleased here with everyone, and asked if they would mind if we put a shed on the canal side of the home, and unanimously everyone was in favor of that. We went to the Colony Association meeting and submitted our proposal to them, and they approved it. And then we applied for a permit, and that was when it was not approved, based on the very thing that none of the neighbors had any issues with. When it was denied, I took the liberty to take some photographs. I don't know if you received those, as well as a letter that I had typed.
We did.
Okay. So I mean, the shed that we're proposing isn't as obstructive or any more obstructive than a lot of the other ones along the canal here. So, and then the fact that we had talked to the neighbors previously, I felt was a pretty strong case. So we would like to build a shed or purchase a shed to accommodate some of the things that we have. We moved down here from Dryden. We left without the 33-year Dryden home with a 40 by 38 pole barn, I know I got to get rid of a lot of stuff, but I don't want to get rid of everything. So,
Yeah. All right, so looks like, all property, this is what Gary has you written down as all properties abutting to boatable waterways shall maintain an unobstructed yard space beginning from the seawall to the full depth of the minimum requirement setback. And your setback is 55 feet. And you're coming, it says what, 18 feet?
I
Off
believe
the
so.
seawall back with a 10 by 12 shed.
Right.
Okay. All right. Hold on one second, please. All right. Any other comments or from anybody in the audience regarding this issue? Any public comments? Okay, I'd like to close public comments. All right, you guys, what do you think? Any questions from anybody on the board?
Oh, let's see.
So I have a couple things, and I get all the ordinances that we abide by and everything, but in the past, we've allowed boathouses that are in a obstructed view. I mean, I don't know if it's just one of those ordinances that maybe should have been changed when we changed the viewing from the 45-degree angle view. I don't know if it's, this is, I can't say the first time coming up, but this is definitely first time,
I guess
on it.
I guess I have just a couple questions here because I'm looking at the pictures. Can you guys hear me now? Because I was muted.
Yep.
I'm looking at some of these sheds. How close are these to your house?
Well, they're up and down the canal. I took my kayak, just like, I don't know, maybe.
This says this was sheds across the canal from you, and that looks like pretty much what you're asking for. And that looks like it's pretty much right on the canal edge, right on the seawall.
Yeah, and I'm actually trying to set back from the canal. I don't want to. We don't want to obstruct anyone. We want to be fair. We're not. That's why we went to the neighbors first. So.
But I'm asking the size of these lots. Are they different than yours? Because this one you're showing me a garage right on top of the seawall, within 10 foot of the seawall.
I don't know what their lot sizes are.
Your lot size is kind of small, though. You're at the beginning of Colony Drive.
Right.
Yeah, so they get bigger towards the lake or towards the river.
Right.
And also, I noticed you got an approval from your association there, which they probably have guidelines there as well.
Right. Yeah.
And as far as most of the development work I've done, when you get an approval from the association, typically that is what you're allowed to do in your association.
Right.
Trying to follow all the rules and pull a permit.
Right.
Right, but here it is. I think I've asked this 3 or 4 meetings ago when actually you came up before. I'd like to see some of the Colony Park Association guidelines, because you're handing me this piece of paper, but I've never seen the association guidelines. Has anybody here ever seen them?
No.
Well, at our last meeting, which you weren't at, I
know.
think Brian was going to get a copy of those at the meeting before that one.
I called Tom Perkowski to get in touch with one of the board members, and Nick, his son, told me that he would reach out to one of them and they would call me. And I never got a phone call about it. And I told him, it would be benefit for all of us if we did have some kind of guidelines that they abide by. But
Right.
I do believe that our ordinances trump any of those as
Correct.
well.
Yeah,
They're
and
just
I
allowing it,
understand
and
that.
we still have to allow it too.
So
But
given
I find
the,
it hard to believe that we're, you know what I mean? I get it, it's a shed, but if he was going for a boathouse or if he was going for something different, I think he's trying to do the right thing where other people would just normally have put it up. And I don't know either way. There's other people that do have it down his street, all the way down, all the way to the very end of his street. There's other people that have it on the water. There's people that have it on the water on Flamingo, Cardinal, Bluebill, everything that abuts, you know, close to where he's at.
Well, yeah, that's why I was asking, because I see everybody's asking, you know, everybody has one, and I mean, yeah, I'm looking at them, yeah. So,
well, but here's the problem again. Even though other people have them, we still have to find the hardship and the practical difficulty in order to give it to him.
exactly, Bonnie, exactly.
Looking at this survey, which I wish had the dimensions for both side yard setbacks. I'm assuming that this could not go anywhere on the property that is within the setbacks.
There's, I think I can answer that. There's nowhere else on the other side of the property. There's a tree. I don't really want to. I'd rather not remove the tree. This is really the only place that this shed could go, besides the roadside, and there's certainly not room on the roadside for it. And I think that's actually not allowed either. For
Gary, aside from the setbacks, is everything else with this shed within code?
Yeah, I would say so. I haven't received the construction documents yet for the actual shed itself. But yeah, they're complying with the height limitations. They're also complying with the side yard setbacks, which is really what the Colony Park Association looked at, was just the side yard property line being more than 5 feet. And that's why they approved it. They don't have anything in the association as far as setback from the waterway. And we do in 3.29, which was adopted in 2016, March 23rd of 2016. So what we had in place prior to that, I really don't know. But yeah, everything else is in order. And realistically, if he moved it any closer to the house, then we've got some issues in that regard too.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
10 feet from the deck, and if he gets closer than that, then he's not going to be able to really store anything in the shed anyway. So he's probably got it in about the best place it could be, you know, if the board wanted to approve it.
Gary, he's got it at 3 feet on this plot plan.
yeah, I wanted to ask that because what I read, and I don't remember. I think it was the township paperwork that said 3 feet from the side lot line.
Yeah, it is, but I saw another number there. I thought it was a 6.
Yeah,
There's one number that says 6 and one says 3.
Right.
no, hold on. No, the 6 is that's one of my design arrows. That's not a 6. I apologize for that.
Everybody thinks it's a 6.
I tried to put a little pizzazz in my drawing.
What does the colony thing say? Doesn't it?
5.
So
Greater than 5 feet from property line approved, because they're reading that 6 foot too, I bet you. Read the letter from the Colony Park Association. It says board comments, greater than 5 feet from property line approved.
that was written on there, right? 'Cause
Correct.
I talked to Hank Deslitz about that, and he said the last guy that signed that wrote that on there, but he thought it was 3 feet as well. It makes a difference with a 60-foot wide lot, whether it's 3 or 5 feet. So I just, you know, if it's 3 feet, I'd like to stick to that. But I think one gentleman in that association, I don't remember who it was now, wrote that on there, and he was the last one to sign it. So Hank didn't even know that he wrote it on there until I approached him with it.
Gary, the ordinance is it 5 feet?
3 feet.
Oh, it is only 3 feet?
Yep.
Okay.
So the 3 feet would give me more space from the deck as well. Then, if I go 5, then I'm shifting it over. That extra couple feet makes a little bit of a difference. I'd like to go 3, but you guys haven't voted yet anyway, so I'm not, I don't want to go too far with that.
The garage is attached, correct?
Yeah, the garage is attached. And the shed, I'm not I don't know if, I don't mean to state the obvious, but there's not a foundation. It's just going to be setting on a, like, not even a pad. I think I can use like a crushed stone ground and just have it setting.
Yeah, that's up to the, that
I
would
was
be
gonna
up
say,
to
that's a
Gary.
building department
Yeah,
issue.
that's all Gary, Right now, obviously, we're after the location of where it is.
Sure.
I don't see an issue with this. I definitely would like the clarification with the 5 feet or the 3 feet with the Colony Association. I definitely would like to stay in board with them, but obviously Gary trumps, that. But in the same token, if they want it at that 5 feet or assume that it was at that 5 feet, or they only require it at that 5 feet, I think we should give Gary if we approve it, the go ahead to either change that to the 5 feet and tell him, or if he wants to stick to the 3 feet. I do see where they might have been confused with that 6 feet or that 6 or the design arrow. I get it. But I just, what I'm saying? I just don't want them to say, well, we approved something that they would never have approved.
Right.
That's, and I think we should leave that up to Gary. If we all decide yes, I say we leave that to Gary, that if, I reach out, I'll try to reach out again and try to get Gary or all of us a copy of, whatever this is. I'm sure Gary doesn't care what the association is because he's not part of it, or doesn't have any jurisdiction with that. But I still think Gary trumps them. Period.
It does.
Yeah. And I understand, I do understand, about the 3 feet would definitely save you room. I totally agree with all that, but trying to make peace with everybody, I think a little bit of clarification would be a long way. I'm okay with the 3 feet, but again, I'd like to make sure that we follow their association as well.
Okay.
Or try to.
Sure.
Is anyone like totally against it? And please state, to where, yeah, I don't see something, so we can talk about that.
I'm not against it. I'm just really having a hard time finding the practical difficulty.
Oh, so, okay, so let's read what he wrote, so we can, it's his own writing.
What's the size of the lot? Is it 100?
60 by 125. So it's a conforming lot, and
Okay,
that's what makes it hard to get to practical difficulty.
that's what I was going to. So Bonnie already beat me on that one.
Yeah, but if he can't add on to his garage, you can't add on to the side of the house. A shed you can't put to the side of the house. He's got to maintain that
Right.
10 feet away from the house. I
Right,
mean, he definitely put it in the best location that's not breaking any other ordinances.
Right, but just to play devil's advocate, we have had people that want to build bigger barns or build a third storage just because they have cars and toys and things that they want to put out, but that's not a practical difficulty or a hardship. I want a shed to store some stuff in.
But he's
So I
allowed
can
to have
keep my
2
car parked in
accessory
the garage.
buildings. He's allowed to have 2 accessory buildings also,
Right.
and he can't. And he's only asking for 1.
Well, going back to how you were saying, Brian, you were saying about what the association allows. So even if the association allows this, whether it's a 3 foot or the 5 foot, whatever this person wrote down here at the very end, what would, I would just say that it wouldn't even fall through our guidelines to even come up with anything. We would basically have to say that if the association allows it, we would only have to say that we do the 3 or 5 foot side setback.
No, because our ordinances trump what the association says.
That's only on no, it's on the 3 or 5 foot thing, not on the setback.
No, all setbacks.
Seawall. Well,
Well, Dennis, this is what Bonnie's saying. Just because the association agreed that they like the shed, they like the design, they like location, all that, doesn't mean he automatically gets approval, because our ordinance trump anything that the colony says. They
Right.
have an association to make sure that everything is somewhat conforming, somewhat, a certain look that they're trying to maintain down that street. But again, Gary trumps all of it. So I'm just afraid, that if we approve the 3 foot and they assumed it was the 6 foot or 5 foot and greater, I would like Gary to have the.
I mean, that piece can be
power.
worked into any motion.
Exactly.
That's what I'm
Just-
getting. Well, that's what I was getting at. I can't make a motion, so that's what I was getting at. I want that in a motion that Gary would have the say. If Colony really meant 5 feet, then so be it.
So you would
And
say
that would be up to
practical,
Gary.
you would say the practical difficulty is that they are technically allowed this accessory building under the ordinance, but there's nowhere else on their property because of the pre-existing house and garage that this could fit.
Correct. I mean, it's a backwards way of going at it, but yeah, correct. Other people are allowed to have 2 accessory buildings. And he is too. He's just trying to put one on. And there's no other spot. He can't go in the front, can't go on the side of the houses. So. And I'm also looking at it because if he wanted to put a boathouse there, he could.
Right.
Yeah,
does
that
seem
he could get.
contradictory.
Well, I mean, I say that. I don't know in that exact location if he would be allowed to, but let's face it, at the end of Colony, he would be allowed to. How about that? We haven't crossed that bridge yet as far as, too much boathouses early. I know they're there, but
Right.
you know what I'm getting at. I still think other people, if he applied for a boathouse, and even if he called that a boathouse, would we be here right now?
I don't think we would.
You do?
I don't think we would be.
Oh. So Gary, are you still on?
Yes.
So I know that's a horrible thing to put on public comment right now, but what if he did label it as a boathouse? What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, a boathouse is exempt, actually, and there's verbiage in 3.01 about boathouses being exempt from that setback requirement. So yes, could a boathouse be there and be enclosed? Yes, and be more obstructing than this would be? Absolutely, it would be.
Yep.
But, it is what it is. And even though this was just enacted in 2016 for this unobstructed yard space, the applicant has shown, a lot of pictures. There's a lot of buildings all around him. We didn't get anything from the public tonight that were against it. And really, that's one of the comments that we look for at these meetings to see, hey, are the people that are most affected by this, are they objecting to it? And we didn't get anyone saying that they're objecting to it. So I think we've done our due diligence in saying this is our ordinance. You've got to be 55 feet back. There's other places that are closer than this one's going to be. His space is limited. We do want them to have exactly what they want, that's for sure. But yeah, in this instance, I would say that we wouldn't try to call it a boathouse. It is what it is. But with the pictures that he's shown of the area and the other structures that are in there, and that could have been installed prior to 2016, could have been done without permits. We've got a resident trying to do the right thing and get the proper zoning permits to do this. And I think we should take that into consideration.
Well said. Well
Thank
said.
you.
Bonnie?
Are you asking me to make a motion?
Yep.
You started it.
All right, I will make a motion to approve, given the practical difficulty that there is no other location on this lot where it can be placed, and the fact that this home was built prior to the change in ordinance in 2016. It is a unique situation. There is no other accessory structure on the property. It was not self-created. Again, the house has been there prior to the change in the ordinance. It grants them substantial justice. They are now allowed to have what other people are entitled to in that area, and it is not contrary to the ordinance.
Dennis?
I'll
Debbie?
second.
Harold, perfect. All right, so we have a motion to grant the variance and a second. So let's have a roll call, please.
Oh, we gonna do the, put the 5 foot or the 3 foot?
Oh, you're right. With the addition that Colony still approves it, given the 3 feet versus the 6 feet that's on the
5 feet.
line.
I'll second that addition.
Okay.
Okay, so we have amendment to the motion.
Motion.
Let's do a roll call, please.
Deborah Addy,
Yes.
Dennis Szymanski,
Yes.
Harold Bain,
Yes.
Bonnie McNerney Slater, yes. Brian Treppa.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Okay, guys, all right, the next one, are you writing this down or we can keep going, right, Monty?
Yeah. I don't have the sheets to do. I don't know if she still wants me to do them or not.
Okay, I'll find out on that tomorrow. Well, we gotta sign them anyways, so how does that work?
Right.
I
I
think
was
this-
turning them in previously to her in hopes that someday we can meet in person and sign things,
Okay.
but I don't know. However they want
Okay,
me to
so
handle
right
it.
now we're on video and we're on roll call, so I think that suffices right now.
Yeah.
All right, so the next meeting of new business is ZBA 2020-015, property owner at 7917 Lake Drive. Are they present?
Yeah, he's here.
If he would state his name and address for us, please.
We can't hear you.
On the
I don't even
bottom
see
left,
my
there
video.
should be a unmute mute button.
No, he's not muted. There's an
Oh.
issue with his speaker, apparently.
Oh.
Maybe turn your volume up a little bit.
Now he's muted.
Yeah. We could hear him earlier.
Yeah.
No.
I don't even see him. Or is it just voice activated?
Yours is voice activated the way it's on there.
I gotcha.
We'll have to get
You guys
together
can
with your
hear me
iPad
okay?
one day and I can show you how to change that.
I'll have Trenton do it tomorrow, or it
Okay.
actually comes on Friday.
Well, someone help him. Looks like he's trying to figure it out.
So what is he on, an iPad or is he
Here, let
on?
me try this. Okay.
Well, he's not muted. I can see that.
Yeah.
He could shake his head if he can hear us, maybe.
There's an option that says
Yep.
connect to audio. You have to,
Wasn't that at the beginning though?
Well, like I said, I could hear him earlier.
Me
Oh.
too, yeah.
Click on the mute arrow up button. And there's a setting that will say switch to computer audio. No, it's connecting to your audio.
Now?
Yep,
Oh,
perfect.
there we go.
Sorry about that.
Okay, there we go.
State my name is Stephen Fournier, 7917 Lake Drive in Clay Township.
Okay, just tell us a little bit about your variance, please.
Sure, I have a non-conforming lot. It's 45 feet wide and 100 feet deep. The house has been here for many years. There's a boathouse on the property at present, and I am trying to build a small shed in the backyard. And with the setbacks, I'm unable to build. I'd have to violate one of the setbacks as my hardship. The side setback of 3 feet is not a problem, nor is the 40 feet from the canal. I'm asking for a 7-foot variance, in other words, to build the shed 3 feet from the house for a couple reasons. The number one reason is I think from the view from both myself and my neighbor two down, it would actually block the view of the canal. And to some extent, my other neighbor, if he were to be standing in his side yard, could also be obstructed from seeing the canal if we were to build this 10 feet from the house. I think that's my practical hardship. It's a small lot. There's not a lot of places that it can go. It can't go on the side of the house or nor in the front of the house either.
Okay. Hold on one second. I'd like to open up public comment to regard this issue. Anyone want to speak against, or not against, but for this applicant? No? All right, we're going to close public comment. Okay, guys. It's not a 3-foot variance. It's actually a 7-foot variance, right? It's
Correct.
You just want to go 3 feet away from the house versus 10 feet away from the house.
Correct.
Okay.
I noticed on your drawings, you have the entire inside of the shed being covered with 5/8 drywall, ceiling walls out.
I was thinking that that might be a requirement if it's any closer than 10 feet to the house.
Well, it is, yes, but it's on your, you gave us. That's why I was just questioning if there.
Okay.
Gary, would that be in conformity with what you would allow as far as a firewall?
Exactly. And, that's my concerns, when we get closer to 10 feet to have that fire separation between the dwelling and the shed because of what things you can store in the shed, gasolines and that sort of thing. So I would have no objection from the building code standpoint or the fire code if it was drywalled throughout, that the 3 foot would be fine with the building code.
Would sheetrock be acceptable?
Yes.
It's 5/8 drywall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gary's after the fire rating is what.
Right.
Okay, just gonna throw that out here. Could we put that shed attached to the boathouse?
The difficulty there is that I'm already 10 feet from the neighbor's house. That's
Okay,
and that
Yeah.
house also has been here a very long time.
okay.
Yeah, I see the corner of the house is like really
Yeah.
right to the boathouse.
But people that don't have picture in there next to them, you know what I'm saying? I want to make sure.
Well, I would say that if the homeowner here goes what he wrote on his site plan here, 5/8 drywall throughout, and the building department doesn't have a problem with that long as he does put 5/8 firewall drywall through the whole interior of it. And it'd be pushed back just as far enough, just like the homeowner said, that it's not going to be an eyesore to anybody else looking down the canal as well. That we approve this.
To the best of my knowledge, again, we did not have any comments from neighbors, correct?
No, there's no, I have no paperwork on it.
Okay.
Is that a 6-foot privacy fence all the way to the house?
There used to be one there, sir. It was removed during recent renovation.
Oh, okay, so it's not there anymore.
No, sir.
I would make a motion to approve based on the non-conforming lot. And it's a unique situation. Again, the age of the house, the location of other things that are allowed on the property was not self-created. He does not have currently a storage building on the property. And given the location of everything else, it's not possible without a variance. It's substantial justice. It gives him what other property owners are allowed, and it's not contrary to the ordinance, with the caveat that the fire separation is in conformance with what the building department allows due to the closeness of the shed.
I would second that.
Okay, perfect. So we have a motion to approve and a second. A roll call, please.
Dennis Szymanski,
Yes.
Harold Bain,
Yes.
Bonnie McInerney Slater, yes. Deborah Addy,
Yes.
Brian Treppa,
Yes.
approved.
Thank
It
you.
wouldn't hurt to put hardy board between the shed and the house either, just to help you out on the outside of it too.
I
Yeah,
will
that's a
do-
very good idea. That's a very good idea.
Yeah. Anytime
Thank
you
you.
get too close like that, hardy board will help. All right, so we approve both of you. All right, so you guys can come and go as you wish. If not, we got some real big elections coming up.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right,
Thank you
so.
Thank you for everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so, and a new business. So the next is, well, no, it isn't in. It's, she put on her, so we have to elect officers this year.
Anyone?
I
Anyone?
didn't even see that on the agenda.
It's C.
It's
Yeah,
C.
C.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I see it. All right.
it's still under new.
We
Anybody
want
wanna change
Brian. We
anything?
want Brian.
Yep, we want Brian.
Are we good with what we have now, or we want to change it up?
I'm actually good with what we have now.
Brian, you want to do it again?
Yeah, obviously I'd love to do it again. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know of anyone that wants your job, Bonnie. So,
They can have it.
I
I'm
agree.
just kidding. I actually enjoy doing it, so. I guess I would make a motion that we keep the slate of officers the same as it currently exists.
I'll second.
All right, so let's, have a roll call on now that.
All right. Harold Bain,
Yes.
Deborah Addy,
Sure, yes.
Dennis Szymanski,
Yes.
Bonnie McInerney Slater, yes. Brian Treppa,
Yes. Okay, so everything's gonna stay the same.
yep.
All right, so we don't have any unfinished business. Report from planning commission and you have
Well,
anything? Harold?
yeah, we got the planning commission. Yeah, we had the master plan. That was the only thing we talked about, and approved the master plan and sent it up to the board. That's all we did.
Is there anything in the pipes that you could talk about? Is there anything?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna be talking about storage sheds, and we're gonna be talking about fences in the front and rear yard fences again, and we're gonna be bringing back pretty much the boathouse thing. So, yeah, there is gonna be a lot coming up. Most of the stuff that we talked about here.
All right, is there any, I brought it up earlier today, is there anything, when we changed that rule of the 45 degree, we used to go and the view,
Yeah.
is there any other ordinances that might come back to bite us later, like that we're gonna find that Gary, hits us with? And I'm
Well,
not saying
now
obstructed view, I'm not saying just change that one 100%, but what I'm saying
Right.
is there anything else that we maybe didn't look at in our ordinances or should, or?
Well, yeah, shipping containers is gonna come back and bite us, and then, that's what we're gonna be working on heavily on, because the shipping containers are getting out of control. That was one of the things that, we passed the ordinance on it, and we have to tighten it up a little bit more, because people aren't conforming to the ordinances that Because the ordinance says you gotta make it look like a shed, and they're not.
Is it just painted or do you want?
No,
the
it's
roof?
gotta be wood
or-
cladded and with a shingled
Okay.
roof. And
Okay.
nobody's doing that. They're just plopping them there and that's it.
Are they considering that, does Gary consider that, like an accessory building, like a number 1 or 2 building? Does that count against, 1 or 2
Yeah,
buildings?
yeah, they're gonna count that against the accessory buildings because that's what they're putting them up as. I mean, we've got one sitting on one street that's right in the right of way and they won't even move it. And then one of them just got delivered a 45 footer just dumped on the lot and it's like,
They
But
have to get
that's-
permits for those?
Well, are they being, when these people are doing this, are they applying for a permit and are they doing a permanent one or a temporary thing? I mean,
well, these are permanent. They're not moved. The one I'm talking about, it's in the right of way, has been there for 5 years.
oh, geez.
And one's been put there and our supervisor told him he could put it there.
Well, because I know that guy over there, Potter, on the South Channel a couple years ago, Sid made him put a $5,000 thing on it for a temporary housing structure for 6 months and then had to pull it out.
Well, that's why they went to the ordinance and they wanted to put it in the ordinance as a storage building and so they could use them. And there's a difference between the storage building and a pod. And Gary, you understand that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's provisions with these storage containers
Right.
to be used as a temporary structure,
Right.
which have their own set of rules, and they're still supposed to let us know that they're on site.
Right.
And the
And are
permanent
they?
structures, no. And the bigger problem that we have right now is that there are so many of them out there prior to this ordinance, and we've got to figure out what are we going to do with those. And like you said, the ones that have been there for 5 years, are we going back on these somehow and getting them to get into compliance? Or is it one of those things that it's before the ordinance was written? So, it's the Wild West. I need some direction in that regard too, on how we want to handle these pre-existing storage containers.
And that's what we want to try and tighten up on that because like you said, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? If, from now on, Gary, if someone comes in with a building permit and a storage building is on there illegally, maybe you have some rule on that, to where, well, I can't, you know what I mean? You have an illegal structure on your property. We have to address that first. No, you can't have a garage because you already have, one, something already on there. There's got to be some kind of consequences for building something or doing something. But as far as going back and saying all the sheds that don't have permits, you got to rip them all out. That's where, a normal person is going to say, well, what about a shed? Where do we stop the bleeding right now? And I'm not trying to have Gary any more headaches for him by no means, but he does, what I mean? We got to help him out with some kind of, I can't say punishment, but you can't just let it go. You can't just, well, it's been there before the ordinance, we're going to just let it stay, or we're going to let him build a new house and leave it there. There's got to be some loophole that he can go back to.
Well, that's something we're just going to have to look at. And that's what we were talking with the planners before the master plan. And then we got sidetracked with the master plan. And now that we're done with that, it's going to be full steam ahead on all the outstanding issues that we've had. Because what the problem is you got so tightened up on the master plan and everybody was focused on that. And all the time was on that. It was eating up everything. And now that we have it, and we have to keep going back to the master plan again because the board has to vote on it. And right after the first year, we're hoping to be done with that so we can move into now with the sheds and with all this other stuff with, the secondary buildings and the fences. And a lot of that stuff got pushed aside.
Are we going to have a joint meeting, do you think, at the beginning of the year to go over a couple things?
If you would like a joint meeting, I'll tell Kathy we should, because I think it's a positive with the joint meetings, because I think you guys can understand where we're coming from, and then we can understand where you're coming from But me sitting here, I'm looking at some of this stuff and understanding where we're all coming from. Some of us are not on the same page.
And that's good, though. You don't always have to be, as long as you guys, are cordial. But in the same token, I liked it, although, I couldn't talk. I think that's when I had my COVID, but I didn't, but I couldn't talk. I lost my voice. I had, I was getting over something.
Right.
But
I forgot about that.
there was a lot of, and obviously, I wanted to speak, Artie helped me out a lot during that meeting, but regardless, I had a lot to say, but a lot of stuff that I was trying to get across did get across. So I was happy with that. But I did enjoy those meetings because everybody gets to see who's making decisions. And I don't know, I think it helps. I say one meeting doesn't hurt us.
No,
I think it would be a good idea too.
I don't know.
I honestly think it should be quarterly, but
even
that's just me.
Quarterly. I mean, even, I don't know, get invited to a meeting just to hear what we see, and almost a monthly. It's either a fence, a boathouse. Now it's sheds. You know what I mean? We have the rear yard. All that stuff all the time coming up. And Gary does a great job keeping it by the books, and it's awesome. It's just a matter of having his back too, and making sure that we all, making the town as.
I don't want Gary's beer sticking out in the wind either. You don't want that, because then everybody's going to want a piece of it. But correct. I think what we need to do is we really got to figure out also the front of your house. Do you understand how Clay Township looks at the front of your house?
Oh yeah, that's been a problem from day one.
I think that needs to be addressed on top of all the other issues, because we have to determine, because look at Point Trumbull. Look where you live. Look where I live. I mean, technically the front of my house is the water. Theoretically, just like you. Everybody says the house is the front. No, the way Clay Township says is where you pick your mailbox up the first right of way. So do they consider the water the right of way? Because no, they don't. And that's one of the things that I thought that was one of the craziest ordinances I ever read when I was building my house over on South Channel. They said, well, no, the front of your house is the street. And I'm looking at it going, well, no, that's the waters really should be the front of your house. But
we treat it like that in New Baltimore too, just so you know.
I know. And we don't hear. So,
Bonnie,
here's the thing, Bonnie. Here's the thing on that. So on Point Trumbull, all right, I'm tearing my mom's house down coming up. I'm waiting to get some, stuff in order. I'm tearing my mom's house up. So the waterfront is the rear, correct? That's where the sewer and the water lines are. I can't build a garage in the back of the house.
Exactly.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Actually, there's actually an easement there too in the front of her house.
Correct. There is an easement. But I have 500-foot lot.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is there has to be I can't say a rule change, but that has to be clarified. Exactly. Everybody knew that the waterfront was the front of the house. Keep it pristine, keep the garages, keep everything out of it. And I always, because I grew up on Point Trumbull, but as far as when it went to the colony or went to, the bird streets, they put sheds, and boathouses on the water. I mean, we have boathouses too on Point Trumbull, but they're out on the water part. They're not on land at all.
Yeah, they're 245 feet away.
Correct.
Yeah, but we have it actually specifically written about canals, about that's not a water view frontage, so that's how they can get away with all that stuff. It's the same thing.
But Point Trumbull is a different area. You know what I mean? There's a
I know what, just like Middle Channel.
I don't believe in Point Trumbull we should have any kind of fences on the waterfront, period. I don't care. Because
right.
When you're looking down the waterfront and you see 100 feet of grass and a boathouse 300 feet away from your house, the last thing you want to see is a 6-foot privacy fence, in front of it, or a 4-foot. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's becoming an issue. I get it,
Well, these
neighbors-
things are why we have probably more cases than most ZBAs anywhere in the area, because we have such an unusual area. I mean, our ZBA in New Baltimore meets every few months, maybe.
How do they make their mortgage payment?
Yeah, yeah.
But, it's all conforming lots for the most part. Where here, pretty much we have more non-conforming than we have conforming.
That's right.
I think I'm more after, to help Gary out, if there's anything that's in the rule, back to Harold and his meetings and going over the plan. If there's anything that contradicts another ordinance, because we changed one ordinance, we should look at that other ordinance that gets contradicted. Does that
Right,
make-
but we got to look at that ordinance. What's it going to affect the other ordinances along the way? And that's what
Correct.
we're looking at right now, because
Okay,
you figure we've changed so many ordinances already. And like we've changed 301 and now we're getting the effects of that. We changed a couple other ordinances and we're seeing the effects of that because they're coming right to the ZBA now.
which is not a bad thing, though.
No, it's
know
not
what I mean?
it's not a bad thing, but we got to figure when we change this ordinance, what other ordinance is it going to affect? And that's what we're
100%.
trying to figure out.
What I'm getting at is not a bad thing that Gary's reading the rule and saying, nope, it's against what's written, so the ZBA. But in the same token, if we can eliminate anybody going to the ZBA, I say we do that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're both on the same page on that. I'm just, hopefully that was
Well,
on consideration.
I really think we need a joint meeting, a couple of them. I really do.
I think that would help. I think that would help.
I think maybe not maybe quite quarterly, but maybe every 6 months. Or if we get a lot of cases coming up versus an ordinance that maybe we should look at changing or looking at like modifying a little, like just the wording. That's what I think.
I like that Gary's a newcomer in a sense, and he reads it differently than other officials have in the past. So sometimes I like to pick his brain on just how he's interpreting it versus in the past. Does that make sense too? That's why I tried to call Gary today, you know what I mean? And Cindy said, no, email him. I was like, well, I'm not gonna email him. I'll see him, but there's just a
Well, 'cause
couple.
basically, we're all contractors sitting here, most of us. We've all built houses, built buildings, and he looks at it one way and we look at it another way.
Yep. But I want to, you know what I mean? I get it. So we don't always, I guess, contradict it. I like that he's by the book. It's such an easier way of, doing things. But in the same token, is he seeing it our way, and then is our way the wrong way? Is what I'm getting at. As a because he doesn't live on the water, or I don't know if he does or not, but here in a sense, does he live on Point Trumbull? Does he live on Colony? Does he see the same views? You know what I mean? Because it's on paper is totally different than each area. Like you said, it's all a unique area. So
yeah,
that was it.
Unique, and it's all into the interpretation of how he looks at it.
Interpretation.
Versus,
Yep, that's what I was getting at. His interpretation is kind of nice in a sense. All right, so we're good with that. So maybe throw it out there. Hopefully we can get a joint meeting.
Oh no, it'll happen. If you want it to happen, we can make it happen. If that's what you want. And I think we need it.
What'd be nice is there's enough space like at the Lions Hall here on the island that we could have everybody 20 feet apart and get everybody in there. Everybody could hear everything and have a big projection like last time, rather than, I don't think you could do that at the township office. Think there's enough room?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I would say, so I would just say that, maybe bring that up to say that we could have it at the Lions Hall, because I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Well, let's see what the restriction changes are going to be, because she's making no restriction changes. So let's see what that's going to happen. And nothing's going to happen until after the first of the year anyway. So let's see what goes on then.
Right. All right, so we'll move on from them. All right, so we have no new correspondence. Anything from you guys?
Yes.
Something.
I am not getting nothing from the ZBA from Clay Township. Everything's going to Keith, the guy that I replaced. Because I talked to
Okay.
Keith today and everything is being sent to him, not to me.
Okay, that's bad. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll-
I didn't even, I'll tell you, to be honest with you, Brian, when I drove by the city today and I go, not today, but yesterday, I go, oh, there's a ZBA meeting. How come I wasn't informed? I am not getting nothing from Clay Township of any meeting. I have to see it on the board when I drive by.
Well, you've only been with us for a
So
year.
you're not in the email loop?
I'm in the email loop. I get my planning commission meetings, pickups. I get everything, but nothing for the ZBA.
Okay, I'll just double check with Cindy on the email loop for the ZBA members. You know, because she usually sends it out, hey, your packets are ready, or there's no
Right.
meeting this weekend. Okay.
Well,
Or
she
this-
even
okay.
she asked Kathy, how come I'm not answering anything in the ZBA? And Kathy called me yesterday and asked me about that too, because I said, well, I'm not getting anything. So I called Keith today and I asked Keith, are you still getting all that stuff? He goes, yeah, I'm forwarding it to you now. So
Okay.
Harold, why don't you send Brian your email address so that he can forward it on and make sure she has the right one?
I will do that, Bonnie.
All right.
Because
and
I know
I'll
I
have-
was having issues in the beginning. I cannot get these emails on my personal email. They will not go through, but I get them on my city email.
I could do that at the hospital too.
All right, I'll ask her to update this list too.
Okay.
Okay, you guys? Yeah, because, yeah, Keith is still on that one. Okay. I don't want to, okay, I will, I'll make sure that you get that. Sorry that you're not.
Thank you.
I guess I automatically assume that everybody gets them.
Nope. Nope.
All right. All right, any public comments?
I have something about the ZBA, please. There's been a lot of comments about a building that was built on Middle Channel and Ames. And that ZBA appeal became before this board. And the question I have is, how big is that building that Star Construction built on 3982 Middle Channel?
It's Star Modernization.
Pardon?
Star Modernization.
Okay. What
That
size is that
is-
building?
30 by 86.
What's the square footage of it?
30 times 86.
Let's do a calculation, shall
I
we?
don't have a calculator. Oh, yeah, it is. Hang on.
2580.
That building is not 2,580 square feet.
Footprint is,
Pardon?
the footprint is,
That building is not supposed to be bigger than his house. That's what the ordinance says. And that's what we approved. And it says it on there. It says square feet. It doesn't say footprint.
it is a square foot.
That building is way bigger than 2,500 square feet. If I'm a guessing person, I'd say it's between 5,000 and 7,000 square feet.
Well, it goes off the footprint on the accessory building.
I disagree with you.
That is an approved plan.
Oh, I know that. That was not supposed to be built that big by any stretch. I'm just wondering how it got approved and how it got built. Because I'm looking right at our minutes and it says, the total accessory structure permitted shall not exceed 2,588 square feet, period. Not a footprint.
Well, the second story is considered cold storage. It doesn't have any effect on the 2580 that the building that Brian said it is. So it's
Right.
apparently, as long as it's the building's 35 by 86, then it's a closed case. I'm sure
Yeah,
when it comes before final, that it'll probably be getting measured anyhow by somebody.
Yeah, it was already, it was, the footings, everything was measured prior to me even starting building it.
I think the major concern is the height of the building, because that's what's throwing people off on the size. because when you look at the height of the building, it looks like humongous. But I have to agree with Brian. I mean, the
It is.
footprint is the footprint.
It is humongous.
But what's the mean height of the roof? What's the height of that from the ridge?
I don't know to the ridge.
Gary, would you know?
I don't know it offhand. I know I did go out there with the city assessor and we did do a measurement on it and found that that building meets the plans that were approved by a previous administrator. You know, he's building it to those plans. So I think we, you know, because it's so tall, we didn't have the capability to actually measure, but we are looking at the mean height situation on that, and that's height of the walls plus half the distance between the eaves and the peak. That's that mean height number.
Right.
And I don't remember what the square foot of the lot was, whether or not it was 2 acres or more. And also we've got to keep in mind that we have that offset that if you're farther than 3 feet from the property line, for every foot you're away, you get to go a foot higher.
Right. Oh, yeah, I understand that. I'm
that's
well
also
aware of that.
That allowed it to get higher than a typical 15-foot mean height on an accessory structure.
Because he has the room, I know that. Because
Yes.
I looked at that. I think that's what's just freaking people out is that they don't realize that he can go that large because he has the room for the property.
Yeah, he's got a double lot there.
Right. And
It says in our
mean-
meeting minutes, it shouldn't have been bigger than his house. And it's 2 times or 3 times bigger than his house.
Not the square foot though.
Yeah,
I
I would
think this
remember
is-
that discussion where initially it came across as trying to put the house bigger at 2,800, but the assessors went in there and went over about the height of the second story and how the little side areas weren't counted, and that's how they chopped it, because he wanted it to be 30 by 90, and we chopped it down to 30 by 86, so it would match to be under the square footage of the house, what the assessing department, our own assessing department rated it. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was a big ordeal at that meeting.
Well, I think this is something probably to be dealt with by the building department when they go out and do inspections. It's not something that we can really deal with here necessarily. They have to take what we ruled and what was approved and go from there.
Yeah, we built it off that approval plan.
Just going back to what Gary just said there a moment ago about a foot off or anything over 3 foot off the property line, where was that at?
It is a rule. I thought it was.
I
every
know, I
foot-
can't find it. I've been looking for it. I know it used to be right in our,
well, it tells you if you go above the ordinance, you got to have enough room. So you got to give up so many feet. So if you go higher than that, because in case the building falls, they want to make sure it falls on your piece of the property. Because
Right.
I had to deal with that when I was building my house on South Channel.
well, I know it's like rule of thumb for anything that's going to be questionable. You always went 5 foot or 10 foot off the property line. That way you
Yeah.
never had an issue.
But there's a specific number in the building where it says if you're going to be higher than that, for every foot that you're higher, you got to go so many feet farther in for your easement.
If I could interject, that section is 3.24 height exceptions. And it says it right in there. Number 2 talks about, you know, you get to increase by, you know, 1 foot for every foot you're away from the required setback. That's
That's what I thought it was.
3.24.
Thank you.
So I remember it being a 1-for-1.
I thought it was 2 foot off. You go up 1 for every 2 foot. Gary, do you have that rule? I mean, now I'm second guessing it.
No, I'm reading it. I got it right here.
Oh,
And initially,
one for one?
when I first came on, I didn't see that in writing, but I was under the understanding that it was a 2-for-1. But in print, it says 1-for-1.
One for
So
one.
okay. All right. Yeah, we're still waiting on vinyl siding on that. It's all special order.
Just about anything vinyl siding anymore is
Yeah, that's,
special order.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't design them, that's for sure. I wish I had it though. It's nice. If you owned it. I know it's not the prettiest thing in the world, by no means.
Is it gonna have windows in it?
Yeah. Yeah. When we side it, we'll put the windows in it, but I'm not going back to put windows
You're
in
gonna
it.
put trees around it to hide it?
He's got a moat around it right now. I'm trying to
I know he does, I see
get
it.
that fixed first. Yeah, I told him he's gotta do something because that's just, you know.
But see, I think that's something that maybe should be thrown in the ordinance. I mean, a building like that standing out in the middle of nowhere, I mean, it's like, are you kidding me?
It's obtuse.
Just because of the location where it is, and you know, no one complains about the barns that are down, you know, the street, not even a mile, you know what I mean? Because they're on something
Right.
different, you know what I mean? Just because you drive down and bam, there it is. I get it, totally get it. I take pictures and laugh every day about it. But, again, he did it. I mean, trust me, I double checked it. I built off the print that's stamped, so. I
Maybe
don't know.
somebody didn't get the memo from the ZBA.
Who?
I don't know who.
It was approved plans though.
Mhm. What I'm saying is those plans maybe didn't know that the ZBA didn't want that big building there.
No, we approved what was the determination of the new thing from the assessing. Because originally he was wanting it to be a 2,798 or 28 something.
I have a
And-
copy of our minutes from that day, September 19th, 2018. And the assessor said the building is his house is 2,588 square feet.
Right, but on the original application, he had wrote that it was like 27 or 2,800. And that's when the assessor said that, no, because it goes in front of assessor, the house is not that big. And they went out there, did a field measurement.
Right,
And that's why we approved it for the 2,580.
correct.
And that's what that building is, 30 by 86. It's nice and straight though.
It's tall.
Nice and straight.
It's obtuse.
Oh.
Okay, any other public comments?
Nope.
Okay, close public comments.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, if I don't see you on the, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Thanks to you
Yeah,
guys.
same to you,
Take
Dennis.
care.
Same to
Same
you.
to everybody.
Be safe out
Next
there.
month.
It's slippery.
See you next
Everybody's
year.
gotta drive.
Bye.
See
Hey,
ya.
Dennis,
Yes,
give me a call.
okay,
Thanks.
all right.
See you
Merry
guys.
Christmas, everybody. Brian, see you later.
Christmas.
See you later.